As a deer hunter, I want to know all I can about America's favorite big game animal. That's why I became a deer farmer. Without deer farms, we lose our greatest resource for research and whitetail management. With them, we gain more knowledge than ever before. Join me as we discover the truth about whitetails and meet those who work every day to preserve this great species for future generations. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Well, it's springtime, and this is not the time of year we typically do Deer and Wildlife Story shows, but there's a reason for doing it here. Hey everybody, welcome to the program and to East Texas, where we're at High Roller Whitetails. This is James Butler, and he runs High Roller Whitetails. James has been a huge supporter of Deer and Wildlife Stories for many years, and we have showcased a lot of the bucks here. And what I want to do, we're going to start out the program. I came to this area today because a lot of people are asking when they see the show, why don't you ever show these deer when they're hard antlered? Well, the deer, the antlers, I mean, these deer are all alive. The antlers have now been put on mounts from the taxidermist, and they're hard antlered. So we're going to be able to show you what these deer look like before, when they're in the velvet, and after, when they're hard antlered. And you're going to see they're absolutely spectacular. But we're going to start out right here in the office. I want to point this deer out. This is the deer by the name of Yardstick. Yardstick is he's one of the biggest producing deer in the industry. And he came from right here, High Roller Whitetails. And if you take a look at him, look at the frame on him. That's what people are looking for. They're a big frame. But I want to show you this. Tell them who this is.
That's Yardstick at 2 years old.
What do you think of that, folks? 2 years old. Now, as a farmer, what we're trying to do, whether we grow any kind of crop, any kind of vegetable crop, fruit, or deer, doesn't matter. We want to get what we're growing big, fast. And so it's all in the genetics, what we're doing here. And so at High Roller Whitetails, it is all about genetics and growing giant deer. So as we sit here and we look at Yardstick, I want you to tell them about this deer right here, because they're not going to believe this.
This is freeze frame at 3 years old. I mean, that's what you look for in a sire, is one that'll produce bigger than he is.
And so Yardstick is the daddy.
Is the sire to freeze frame.
Okay, and so take a look at that. When you wind up taking a look at the mass on this deer, the frame on him. I mean, look how big he is. And again, we've got video of him back in August. We're going to be showing you on today's program. But this right here, if you have a buck like Yardstick that throws big, like freeze frame, well, you got to think, well, is that just kind of an odd deal? He just throws it one time? We know he doesn't. He throws it consistently, and that's the name of the game. So tell them about that deer right there.
That's Triple Crown. That's another Yardstick son at 3 years old.
And look at the width on him. I mean, he's got the frame. I mean,
he's got it all. You can see the same similarities as in freeze frame. You can tell that they're half brothers, but they're just amazing deer.
And it goes back to the blood. I mean, the blood, the pedigree. And so I know this deer right here, Triple Crown, is down in South Texas at Derby Sand Ranch.
That's right.
And we wound up, we went down there and did a show with John Vieska down there. And tell everybody about partnerships, how partnerships are becoming more commonplace in the deer industry.
You know, a lot of times we'll partner on bucks and does. People want just to own an interest so they can breed to them, save them a little money. They want to help promote and carry on the genetics through their ranch as well.
So deer farming, depending upon what your goals are in deer farming, if you're really trying to get into the top end genetics, you may consider doing a partnership because they are readily available. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you mind if I go on the back here and show everybody what's back there?
No, go right ahead.
Y'all aren't gonna believe this. All right, we're in the back room right here at High Roller Whitetails. Okay, I gotta show y'all something. You're not gonna believe this. The industry, the deer industry, is looking for frames and consistency. And here at High Roller Whitetails, this is the back room. I gotta show you what's back here. This buck right here, pretty impressive deer, huh? Some of you that are in deer business, yeah, he's all right. What about this one right here? Yeah, he's all right. All right, you kidding me? They're 1 year olds, and they're brothers. They're womb brothers. High Roller Whitetails. Okay, this table right here, this is gonna blow your mind, folks. The industry is looking for big, framey Texas deer. Big frames, okay? This big enough for you? What do you think about that? Okay, that's a pretty unbelievable deer. Who says they can't grow them big in Texas? And you know what? You know how old this deer is? 2 years old, just like every deer on the table. Okay, just like this one right here. Okay, high roller whitetails, these are still alive. They're still out here. You can come on out and take a look. I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable. Who wouldn't love to have a deer like that?
I hear them in here. Let's see what they got going on.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Kayla. Hi, Summer.
Hello.
Are y'all getting ready to feed the babies?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Every morning on the deer farm is a special day, and they start out with feeding babies here. And so what we're going to do, we're going to start out with them and show you how it's done, and then we're going to hook up with Jimmy. He's the ranch manager here. He's the guy that checks all the pens. I'm going to take a ride with him, and then we'll get with James Butler, and we'll start looking at some big deer. All right, take a look at this deer right here. And this is a young deer, believe it or not, with unbelievable antlers. And who's this now?
This is Tebow. He's actually a 1-year-old here. He's out of Shadow and Express's mother's womb sister.
Okay, and anybody that's in the deer industry knows that both those deer that anchored this deer right here are unbelievable. And so you take a look at his antlers and you think, well, what would Tebow be like when he hits 3 years old? Well, we got video of him last August when he was in the velvet, but there he is right now. And you can take a look at him and he is unbelievable. I mean, what's amazing to me is when they're in the velvet, I mean, I like the way they look in the velvet, but when they're hard antlered like that, I really like it. Now, as you look at those antlers, everybody, the deer's still alive. I mean, he's still alive and doing well. These are just his antlers. And so back from the taxidermist, but you ought to take a look at him in the velvet. He is some kind of pretty. Good gosh, and how old is he?
He's a 3-year-old and he is a wide joker.
Holy smokes. Look at that. He's got a drop on his right side. Now, how wide is he, you think, more or less?
You know, I'd say he's for sure 33, and he could be 35. I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he is beautiful. And the beams on him, I mean,
Long.
they're long.
He got a huge frame.
And the deal is, this deer right here, I mean, when you take a look at him, I mean, that's consistency.
Oh, definitely. He is out of Shadow and Express's mother's womb sister.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about strong genetics, and when you take a look at the NADAR chart, the registry on this, and folks, if you've never seen a NADAR chart, we want to show it to you. I mean, the important thing to look at here is how deep it is and how the quality of genetics on every single one of these breedings.
Oh yeah, it goes back 5 and 6 generations.
And so, you know, when you look at these deer and you look at Tebow like this and you're trying to figure out, you know, what is a deer like that worth? Well, he's worth a lot of money, and the reason why is because of the quality of the breeding.
Oh, definitely. There's no doubt you're going to get consistency and predictability with him.
I'm going to point something out. When you deal with somebody like James, and you're investing in a deer like this, or any of the other deer that he's got on his website or out here on the farm, and you're investing in something like that, you're investing not only in the deer, but you're investing in James. You're investing in high roller whitetails, and you got to invest in somebody that's going to stand behind the deer, stand behind your investment, and going to protect you. I mean, that's the name of the game.
Well, the best you can, for sure.
I
We've
mean,
actually got a partner on this deer, Derby Sands, that owns 50% interest in Tebow.
really?
Yes, sir.
I'll be doggone. And Derby Sand is a huge supporter of ours, and I mean, I'm just telling you, that deer right there is a giant. I mean, I don't know what he's going to score, but he's going to score a bunch. All right, so if somebody wants more information and book a farm tour out here to come out on a late August afternoon, give them a phone number.
Just the best thing is to go on our website and send us an email at highrollerwhitetails.com.
Okay, all right, hear that, folks? Come out here, and for a deer like Tebow, you're not going to need binoculars, I promise you. He's plenty big, you don't need them. It's a big old buck. Well, I know in August when he was in the velvet, we sat there and tried to figure out what would he score, and I knew he was in the 300s, but I know now you know what he scored. What did he score?
He scored 395. He was 34 inches inside. Everybody wanted to know how wide he was.
What a beautiful deer. But right now what we need to do is we need to show him sunrise. You're not going to believe this buck sunrise. He will blow your mind.
Let's go.
It's a cool deal about coming here. I love walking in the office and seeing all these magnificent animals, but I look at this guy right here and I'm thinking, how could somebody not be impressed? If you take a look, this is sunrise at 2. And James, I mean, look how wide he is. How wide is that?
You know, he was 46 and some change outside.
Oh my
Crazy.
gosh. And he's 2 years old, folks. I mean, when you take a look at this deer now, hard antlered. Again, I want to stress, he's still alive, okay? Right here at High Roller, okay? We want to take a look at him back in August. And back in August, again, we were trying to kind of get an idea of what this deer would score, but take a look at him. Here it is late August, and you know, we're sitting here looking at this deer. It doesn't look like he's got lots of growing to do though. I mean, he's pretty much done, right?
No, he's still growing. He's the only buck on the farm that's really still pushing. If you look at his drops and his kickers, they're still black. He's still growing a good bit. How wide do you think he is? I look at him every day and I can't tell.
I'm guessing he's over 40. He's got to be, I'm talking about outside spread. I mean, those flyers, they're beautiful. And he's got drops off both sides. Look at that. But like you're saying, they're still bulbed up, so he's still got some growing left to do. That is amazing right there.
What's really amazing about him, if you get into his pedigree, on the bottom side, he is out of a primetime doe, and primetime and Yardstick were brothers.
Really? Wow.
And they both go back to a doe named Holly that is one of the best producing females in the state of Texas.
And I'm just telling you that this deer right here, now he's a Texas deer.
You bet. Everybody said wide, wide, wide. And that's a road map to wide right there.
You got that right. Holy smokes. Okay, so if somebody wants more information, all they need to do is go to highrollerwhitetails.com and they can shoot you an email.
You bet.
And
come check them out.
Come check them out. This is really, really beautiful. Wow. You know, I got to admit, there's people that think that this is just a freak of nature, that this is just something that just happened. But I'm thinking, I want to explain to everybody, this isn't a freak of nature. This was planned. I mean, it was planned to grow something this big and this magnificent now. And it comes from consistency, folks. Consistency. I mean, as a deer farmer, what we want to do, we want to predict as best as we can what we can expect. Okay, and when you're dealing with genetics as strong as these genetics, is consistency. And so I know you know now what this deer scored. What was it?
He scored 400.
Holy smokes.
400 at 2.
At 2 years old, folks. I mean, think about that. 400 inches, 2 years old, and when you look back at him in August, I wouldn't have thought that he was going to be that big. But now looking at him right now, hard antlered, what a phenomenal deer. Now, you had another 2-year-old buck that I absolutely fell in love with back in August. His name was Blue Chip. Where is he?
He's right over here. We'll take a look at him. His mechanics are unbelievable. Let's check him out.
All right. There he is. Holy cow. 2 years old.
2 years old.
Well, when he was in the pen back in August, I was looking at him. I could not figure how many points he had. But I want to show this deer right now. I want to show Blue Chip back in August. Good gosh.
That's a deer breeder's dream right there.
Oh my goodness, look at the frame on him. Now pedigree-wise, he's 2?
He's 2. He's 2 and his mechanics are so strong. If you notice, Keith, most of his stuff comes off of his main beam and goes up.
Yeah.
I mean, as a breeder, that's what we all strive for. Huge frame. What's so unique about him, he's out of an express doe. And and he's 2. The oldest that anything can be out of express females is 2.
Really?
A Dauphin actually had him.
A Dauphin raised a giant baby right there in Blue Chip.
Boy, he is pretty.
Wonder what he scores.
I don't know. More than I can add up.
Yeah, I mean, that deer's got it. He's in the 400s for sure, I would think.
Oh yeah, he's going to go over 400. I've added him up just roughly. I'm scared to say.
Yeah, he's in the 400s for sure. Well, it'd be interesting to see what he does wind up finishing out at. You know, I will say this, that there's a lot of people that may be at home wondering about the overall health of these deer. Okay, and talk about in farm deer versus wild deer. Address how important it is to make sure that the health of these deer stays just at its peak as best as it can be.
Oh, it's our number one priority around here. Jimmy works himself to death keeping up with all these deer. He does a phenomenal job. And, you know, I don't know what we'd do without him, but you know, he checks these deer 4 or 5 times a day, and you can see it paying off.
Yeah, he can take a look at a deer and tell that quick.
Look at the body condition of these deer.
I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, these deer, Jimmy he goes out in the pens all the time, and he checks them and checks them and checks them and checks them and checks them. I mean, that's his job, to make sure they're good and healthy. And that guy right there, Blue Chip, is good and healthy. Look at him.
I mean, Keith, those other 2-year-olds around him are big 2-year-olds, and he makes them look like puppies.
Yeah, those other 2-year-olds in there are really nice. It's just that Blue Chip makes them just look like they're nothing. And they're really nice. But, you know, health-wise, I want to really stress, health is the name of the game on a deer farm. We want to keep these animals healthy, and Jimmy is your man to do just that.
Oh, Jimmy's on his A game.
Now it's time for the Beam Fence Minute. You know, there's an old saying, you get what you pay for, and that's true whether you're dealing with deer genetics or whether you're dealing with a fence. And as far as fences go, I want to point something out, that different people use different construction methods to put their fences up. Some guys put up fences that'll last a lifetime and more, and some guys put up fences that, well, in 10 years you're going to be repairing those fences and probably rebuilding them because they weren't done right. So what you have to do is you have to keep in mind that you get what you pay for and everything, and fencing is just one of those deals that when you deal with Mark Beam, Mark has decades of experience. He has a list of references as long as your leg. He has the most sophisticated equipment that he's come up with himself. He's got patents on this stuff that fence contractors all around the world, including fence contractors over in Australia, are using Beam Fence Company products. And that just gives you a little idea about Mark Beam. But you get what you pay for and everything. Like I said, whether it's deer semen or deer fencing, you're going to get what you pay for. Okay, this is from a lady by the name of Judy. She lives in Iowa. She says, when I first saw your show, I was furious that people were growing deer in pens. I didn't see the reason behind it. But the more shows I watched, I realized that I was wrong. As a farmer, it's sad to see that thousands of family farms are going out of business each year. I realize that deer farming can and does keep family farms operating and profitable. Also, these people love deer and are hunters just like us. Thanks for getting the truth out, Keith. I know it can't be easy sometimes. Judy, it isn't easy sometimes. Matter of fact, most of the time it's not easy, but you know what? The truth is the truth. And farming, whether you're farming for food or you're farming for wildlife, farming is important for the future. And that's the reason why we're doing this show. We want to help people understand the importance of farming for wildlife. And so that's a great question. You know what? Sometimes it isn't easy, but you know what? I love doing it. All right, I'm not even going to begin to guess at what this deer scores, but I know you know what it is. How much?
490 inches.
At 2 years old, nearly 500 inches, folks. And again, how far back genetically do you go on these deer?
Oh, most of them are 6 and 7 generations deep.
And so think about it. They have 6 or 7 generations of literally the best genetics in the world stacked on top of each other. Okay, if somebody wants more information about High Roller Whitetails, what do they need to do?
Come on, look online, highrollerwhitetails.com.
There's one buck on there. It's Overnight Express. We got some unbelievable, beautiful footage of him back in August, but I want to see what Overnight Express looks like now.
Well, we didn't get his rack. He busted his rack up before we were able to get it, and we couldn't put it back together. So
okay.
we don't have his mount.
But I'll tell you what, we got some video back in August, and he's a beauty. Out of all the deer that you've shown me this afternoon, that one right there is my favorite. Oh, I love that deer. Look at him. Oh my gosh. He's just beautiful. Okay, so pedigree-wise, tell me about him.
Well, he's out. His sire is Express.
Yeah.
And on the bottom side, he goes back to he's out of Easy Does It Sisters, which was another really big 2-year-old that another farm, Gonzales Whitetails, had in South Texas.
But look at how many up tines he's got and how long they are. I mean, he's only really got that one drop. I mean,
and last year he didn't have any drops at 2. This year he forked that drop tine, but his main frame is absolutely huge. He's going to have 15-inch G's for sure.
oh my gosh. And I mean, I look at him, he's got just enough extra trash and kickers on him to give him a lot of character. But the main frame is what the whole industry is looking for.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that right there, I mean, that deer blows my mind. You know, looking at deer on video versus looking at them in person, it's like night and day. You know, on video, they look absolutely spectacular. But when you come here and you see them in person, it'll blow your mind. These deer are some of the biggest deer on the planet right here at High Roller Whitetails. If you've never been to a deer farm, you need to come here. I think you'll be blown away. And if you're in the deer farming industry and you've never been here, I think what a shame, because High Roller Whitetails has really raised the bar, and you need to come out here and take a look for yourself, because like I said, video doesn't do it justice. I'm Keith Warren. If you got any questions or comments about the show, write me an email. I promise you, I'll get right back with you. I'd like to thank you for watching Deer and Wildlife Stories.